Good evening and welcome to the Weekend Review here on CNC3, and a special welcome to our viewers in North America via the CIN network. We begin with news that Trinidad and Tobago's ambassador to the United Nations in Geneva, Therese Baptiste Cornelis, has been recalled. She has been asked to come back home for a meeting with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Winston Dukeran, with a statement coming from his ministry actually saying that her tour of duty is coming to an end. Asked to come back home, Trinidad and Tobago's ambassador to Geneva, Therese Baptiste Cornelis, following a statement at an international symposium on cultural diplomacy in Geneva, in which she spoke extensively about her personal life and even promised to teach diplomats how to whine. This is what Communications Minister Jamal Mohammed confirmed at Thursday's post-cabinet media conference.
Ambassador Cornelis will be returning to Trinidad and Tobago on the 3rd of September for discussions with the line minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and at that time you'll get further details.
His statement came after a release by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had been issued confirming that her tenure is about to come to an end. The statement reads, "The Honourable Winston Dukeran informs that the tour of duty of Her Excellency Therese Baptiste Cornelis, Ambassador Permanent Representative to the Permanent Mission of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago to the United Nations, Geneva, will come to an end in September 2012, and she has been recalled to headquarters." This now raises more questions, as the term of office usually given to ambassadors span 3 years. Ambassador Cornelis was appointed in June 2011, but whether or not her contract specifically gave her a 1-year term was not made clear through our calls to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. If not, the statement may seem to suggest that the ambassador's appointment is being terminated. All this in the context that Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar had said that former National Security Minister John Sandy was offered a diplomatic posting in Geneva, a posting he had said he would consider. The specific position was not made clear. Minister Mohammed was not letting the cat out of the bag when pressed further on whether Cabinet made the decision to end her tour of duty. Having promised to teach diplomats how to whine, we are told we must wait on the outcome of the meeting in September to find out if the ambassador herself would be asked, in the words of a popular calypso, to whine to the side. Police Commissioner Dwayne Gibbs and his deputy Jackie Watsky have said their final farewells to the police service. They met with the executive of the police service for luncheon on Monday, the final day of their tour as police commissioner and deputy police commissioner.
Police Commissioner Dwayne Gibbs and the Deputy Police Commissioner Jackie Watsky are just hours away from vacating the hot seats on St. Vincent Street in Port of Spain. Both men tendered their resignations last week, which takes effect on August 7th. The tenures of Mr. Gibbs and Mr. Watsky have been under scrutiny from the get-go, as they were tasked to manage a spiraling crime problem. But Commissioner Gibbs would not be leaving a disappointed man. He reportedly told a luncheon with police executive members on Monday that he is pleased with the way he performed as top cop and the way he handled the crime situation. The luncheon followed a 2-hour meeting the two Canadians held with senior officers in the police service. CNC3 News understands that both Mr. Gibbs and Mr. Iwatsky also thanked members of the police service for their support over the last 2 years. There is no official word yet on when both men would be leaving the country, but we understand that Mr. Gibbs has a 6-month grace period in which to vacate his official residence. CNC3 News has also learned that the outgoing commissioner has been holding talks with incoming acting police commissioner Stephen Williams to discuss the crime-fighting strategies which he has left behind. It was revealed last week by the Office of the Attorney General that the state would pay an ex gratia payment totaling $2.5 million to the outgoing police commissioners.
Well, with the police commissioner gone, the acting police commissioner Dwayne Gibbs is now, of course, in the hot seat, and he's saying he'll have to decide whether or not he wants to be confirmed in that position.
Confirming his official appointment on Tuesday by the Police Service Commission for a second time as overall head of the police service, Acting Commissioner of Police Stephen Williams says he will be evaluating his application for the post of commissioner when it is advertised later this year.
I'm at the point where I'm bordering reaching that point in your service when you can safely retire and get your pension and move on in life. I would have to make some determinations when opportunities come for exploring whether I continue as a police officer into the future.
Holding no punches back, Williams confessed that he does not support the appointment of a foreign commissioner of police, but says it is out of his hands.
I think, yes, it is best left to be addressed by a local like myself. That's my thought on it. The choice, though, of appointing a commissioner doesn't rest with me. So that will be one for the Police Service Commission.
Dismissing suggestions that his appointment is politically motivated, the acting commissioner of police says expect to see changes in the police service, including the leadership style.
We have to utilize the 6,000 plus police officers that we have at our disposal on the front line. And when I speak on the front line, actively involved in policing activities where there is direct contact with the public. That's one thing which would obviously be different. I can assure you that you can expect that I will be there with the officers to encourage them, to motivate them. I've demonstrated in the past. I will continue to do it in the future. And it's a common way of practicing policing at leadership level.
The Housing Development Corporation says it has been noticing a growing trend in which people are now going into houses that are unoccupied but have not been given to them.
It's a growing trend which is quite troubling for state-owned HDC and prospective homeowners across the country, the illegal occupation of empty HDC homes. Only on Tuesday, security officers from the HDC and the police were evicting an illegal occupant from a house in Golconda. The man claimed he got a vision from God and was told to occupy the house. HDC's Managing Director Jolene John says it's no laughing matter since there have been over 20 houses discovered to be illegally occupied in just the last few weeks alone. She says laws have to be tightened given the crime and the state the houses are found in after.
I think the time has come when we have to post a notice to say anybody found in our houses who would have entered, break and entered illegally, we will be prosecuting. And in most instances, we will have to spend between $45,000 to $60,000 to repair that unit.
Housing Minister Dr. Rudan Munilal says it is unfair to the 100,000 people waiting to be allocated homes and also to the HDC, which spends some $5 million every month to secure its properties around the country. He says all agencies under his ministry will come together to provide security at HDC estates.
In the next week, what we plan to do is to pull all the agencies of the ministry together where there are significant security departments and harmonize their work so that they can cooperate with each other.
In addition, the housing minister says he will ask the new acting commissioner of police to ensure increased police patrols at HDC estates in South Trinidad and elsewhere around the country.
A Komutu man whose uncle was dismembered in an accident on Sunday is calling on the authorities for answers. He wants everyone who is going to do a driving test to do some sort of defensive driving course, as well as to have security cameras at every traffic light.
On Sunday, the Khan and Mohammed families of Komutu were thrown into mourning after they learned of the gruesome death of their uncle, 67-year-old Azim Mohammed. A very emotional Amuzad Khan, nephew of the deceased security officer, remained shocked with several unanswered questions.
What kind of driver will see a pedestrian standing by a traffic light? What going through your mind? Kill him? Slow down? Proceed with caution? Tell me what to do. It don't happen to him alone. It happened to several people with these road hogs on the road. When would it stop?
Confirming that he is not sure about all the facts, a confused Khan suggested there is a need for cameras attached to all stop signs along the road.
Do we bring in some law to have by a traffic light a camera? What speed you pass it to cut off a neck? Minus cutting off the neck, you lick the half of the skull clean off.
Saying he has no confidence in the police service, the Eastern Regional Health Authority board member says it's time for mandatory defense driving courses for everyone.
I cannot say the young ones make it mandatory for that. I rather all drivers.
A UNC and People's Partnership activist has been murdered. She was murdered while trying to bring a peaceful end to a domestic dispute.
Diane Lewis, fondly known in the People's Partnership as the woman who stands in front any public rally with flowers in her hands, showing support for Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar and calling on the media to take her picture, has died at the hands of a relative just around 5 on Thursday morning. Her husband was also chopped in the attack, and now her younger brother Otis Hinkson is demanding justice. He says the loss is unbearable.
It's ridiculous and it's just tragic for my family. I like justice for my sister and the other brother who is right now lie down in the hospital open and that he's still alive.
The URP worker was stabbed on Sunday evening while trying to quell a disturbance at her Hilaire Street Degumarting home. Otis explains what led to the altercation and believes it could have been avoided.
She went to make peace between two brothers. And when they reached there, one of the brother's wife ran outside and with a knife and attack her and asking what she doing here, what she come here for, and started to stab her. It is alleged it is either an ice pick or a knife. But
one woman is in custody and a warrant is out for a male relative in connection with the crime. The murder count now stands at 248.
You're viewing the Weekend Review here on CNC3 and the CIN network in North America. I'm Samson Anton. We'll take a short break and come back with a lot more. Welcome back to the Weekend Review. British High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago Arthur Snell is now questioning the level of respect that is being given to women in Trinidad and Tobago.
While Trinidad and Tobago was ranked the third best country in the Commonwealth for women to live, British High Commissioner to this country Arthur Snell says there is still room for improvement. He noted cases of domestic violence and rape are still quite high. However, High Commissioner Snell believes health is one area that needs attention. He pointed out that Trinidad and Tobago is 106th in the world's infant mortality rankings.
It's worth thinking about where perhaps this country should aspire to be. Grenada finds itself number 76, St. Lucia number 66. Now these are very small countries, but also countries that don't enjoy the significant economic resources that Trinidad and Tobago has. 106 in the world. Well, ranked in GDP terms, Trinidad and Tobago comes 37th according to the World Bank. So one could argue that that's where you should be aspiring to be.
On the cultural front, High Commissioner Snell told the Women's Association Seroptimus International it may be worth contemplating the messages our local culture sends about women.
But I don't know what carnival costumes say about what people think of women. I make this, I say this not because I've reached a conclusion, I'm just asking the question, what is the message that sends?
He also questioned the message of a popular advertisement as well.
I was very struck when I first arrived here, be given a stag beer and be told it was a man's beer for a man's world. Well, I don't know what that means really, but I mean, maybe it's just a funny advertising slogan, but is that really a healthy way to sell a beer? I don't know.
The High Commissioner told the women in the audience there is no room for complacency on the position of women in our society.
200 fishermen in South Trinidad are now complaining of a new system in which iron ore is being transported through the Gulf of Paria. The fishermen are saying that the transportation of iron ore is depleting the fishing stock and affecting their livelihoods.
Strong resistance to a new iron ore transportation business off the Southern Peninsula. The San Fernando Fishing Association says a German company has been given a 10-year contract to transport iron ore from small ships to larger ships, and this will put a serious dent in their daily activities.
Traffic will affect the fishermen and them a lot. Noise pollution, and then they're occupying a spot that anytime a drift net have to pass, they have to pull in the net, they will lose fishing.
Mr. Gould says the company offered the fishermen jobs, but this is out of the question.
But that job issue is a disrespect. And I don't know how the Minister of Agriculture had agreed with that.
The fishermen believe a bad precedent is being set by the granting of an approval for such activity, and it would eventually affect fish prices.
If every company come here and do that and interrupt every fisherman for 1 hour of fishing for the day itself, gradually fish price is going to rise.
But their anger is not only directed toward the company, but also toward the Food Production Ministry.
I think the Minister of Agriculture is a total waste of time in this country. All the time, the past, the present, and the one next to come.
Mr. Gould says the fishermen would resist the activity with all their might.
The fishermen and them is planning to go and protest the job outside there.
In what way?
They're planning to throw the nets in the way of the boat and all of these kind of things.
A major operation throughout the northern range in Trinidad by members of the military. They have been seeking out what is known as the Cali-Trini cartel, a major drug cartel, but it's all fictional. What they are actually doing is a simulation program to ensure that all members of the military are equipped and trained for any circumstance.
Hello, Bravo Yankee 5, this is 0. Radio check, over.
The command center for a major operation, hundreds of military officers based in various parts of the northern range, in an exercise called Operation Golden Ibis to make them ready for combat at a moment's notice. From this base in Aranguez, the senior personnel take us through their full plans. In Blanchisseuse, the Cali operation is moving towards the east in the jungle. The military has cut them off and on Friday morning will launch a full-scale attack on them. And while it is all a huge simulation, the military says it's about readiness, resilience and relevance, as they've used the most realistic scenario as possible, with troops having been placed in forested areas across the northern range for 3 days now.
The training exercise is one that is being used to check, as it were, our readiness in terms of our core competencies and ensuring that what we are meant to do, that we can in fact do.
The field training seeks to ensure that all troops are skilled in jungle, joint border security, civil defense and sustaining operations. They are replenished every 48 hours with food, medical supplies, ammunition and other necessities, with the use of air and ground transportation assets. But while they train, they found themselves already encountering real enemies.
We indeed have a scenario that points to us changing from exercise mode to real mode. And I think on 2 occasions thus far during the exercise in the last 48 hours, we've actually had to go to a real mode.
This has been an annual operation, and Friday's culmination will see at least 3 air assets deployed, Coast Guard operations on the sea, and combat on the ground by troops. The military says their presence alone has deterred the drug runners over the last few days, and they are sure that with this training, the country's defense mechanisms will be strengthened. The Works and Infrastructure Minister, Emmanuel George, is to seek funding from the Finance Ministry to ensure that the problem of flooding in Caroni Central becomes a thing of the past.
In recent times, residents of Kapara have blocked roads over deplorable conditions, but their prayers for better roads are being answered, as their Member of Parliament, Dr. Glenn Ramadas Singh, and Minister of Works and Infrastructure, Emmanuel George, toured the constituency of Caroni Central, starting in Edinburgh 500, where drainage problems are a bother for residents in a rainy season. Speaking to the media during the tour, Minister of Works and Infrastructure Emmanuel George says the Ministry of Finance will be contacted to get funds to fix some of the problems.
Make the request of the Minister of Finance so that in his budget he will make provision for these works. Once that provision is made, and that is September, late September, early October, then, and we are aware of what the funding is like, then we'll be able to plan and undertake work. So we don't see works on these areas commencing before October.
Minister George says all the problems will not be dealt with at once, but the most critical will be given priority. The Member of Parliament for Caroni Central, Dr. Glenn Ramadas Singh, says that the roads have been neglected.
The roads need to be repaired. There are many landslips because central Trinidad has ridges, and these roads were actually built on ridges, so there's movement. But there's settlement, there's housing, there are villages, and we want to connect these areas so that we can increase the economic activity.
The Minister of Works and Infrastructure is carded to tour the Toko Sangre Grande constituency to overlook remedial works.
The Downtown Owners and Merchants Association wants it mandatory now for all business owners in the capital city to pay for its maintenance and development through a new fund.
The suggestion of a business development district fund came at the end of a meeting between local government minister Dr. Suraj Rambachan and the Downtown Owners and Merchants Association. DOMA President Gregory Aboud says the model, which recognizes that not everyone contributes voluntarily, has worked well in other countries.
If you have planted your tree in a particular lot of land, you have a responsibility to fertilize that land.
Mr. Aboud says the regulations governing the fund will obligate a business owner or tenant to make contributions to the fund.
First of all, a moral responsibility because it is there that they earn their income. And secondly, it is a responsibility based upon common sense.
Mr. Aboud says the proposed fund would only be used for the development and maintenance of the capital city. He says business owners would have to dish out for things like garbage collection, infrastructural works, and even security.
Instead of us always complaining about crime, a properly funded business improvement district would put street security officers on the beat.
Mr. Aboud points out that the reality is that most business owners just do not give back to the city which has given them wealth.
When we have a Christmas party for underprivileged children, only 50% of the business people contribute. When we try to decorate Port of Spain for independence, only 40% of the business people contribute.
The DOMA president says the BID fund was proposed to local government minister Dr. Suraj Rambachan on Monday for government's consideration.
Don't go away. The Weekend Review continues with a lot more. Welcome back to the Weekend Review. Well, while our athletes are making a name for themselves in the international arena in the Olympics, there's another person from Trinidad and Tobago who's making a name for himself, this time in classical singing.
Christian always knew he had a gift, but without the nudge from his former teacher at Fatima College, he may have never discovered this extraordinary talent. Now he's a student at the Conservatoire de Lyon in France, studying classical voice.
I thought about it thoroughly for 2 years before I actually got into it because it's something that I know it's not really a big thing in Trinidad, especially classical singing, and it's nothing that you could actually earn a living in Trinidad as a professional singer.
He's been able to get so far because of the love and support from people like June Nathaniel, his vocal teacher for the last 4 years. Miss Nathaniel laid the foundation for Christian's present pursuits.
Just to cold, unfeeling night. On a cold, unfeeling night. Okay. Christian was very shy when he first came and very young, and all that impacts the voice itself. So bringing him to a point where I thought he would be able to compete abroad, we dealt with not only the voice, but with his whole personality and how he was and how his being, you know.
He's now completely comfortable singing in his own skin. During the last 2 years abroad, he has performed in many productions, both at his school and with private companies.
For me, I thought there wasn't any hope of me studying at all in France because financially it's difficult. But with the help of others and with the support of others, it was possible. And I would say anything is possible if you put your mind to it, if you work towards it. It is possible, definitely.
He's back home now on vacation, and Christian is asking as many people as possible to help fund his education in France. On August 30th, Christian and friends are staging a variety concert at the Central Bank Auditorium. For information about tickets, you can call 678-8293 or email via the address concertfundraiser@gmail.com.
Well, finally, it's some months away from the carnival period, but it's right in the heart of the band launching period. And this past week, Bliss launched their band. We bring you some of it.
A buckle of spoon and I begin the dance. My head done gone, so I feel into chant of you.
Deadly but beautiful, the Queen Cobra completes a list of wild and dangerous creatures that the designers of Bliss Carnival are portraying in their 2013 presentation, Savage Beauty. The queen cobra, the agama lizard, the Bengal tiger, and scorpion fish are among 8 costumes being offered in the band.
The creative people on my team did a fantastic job, both with our Tribe brand and our Bliss brand. The costumes are different to Tribe, but still very beautiful.
Bliss unveiled their presentation at an intimate launch at the Hilton Trinidad. Band leader Dean Atkins says he has full confidence in his creative team, producing visually appealing costumes. But the real challenge is in providing the experience that accompanies the costume.
The thing about what we produce an all-inclusive experience, so much so that we say, we sell an experience, the costume is complimentary. There's a lot of amenities, a lot of services that we provide.
With many masqueraders complaining about the increasing cost of costumes, Atkins says the prices for costumes in both Bliss and Tribe have remained the same. For CNC3, I am Kamal Georges.
Well, that's how we end this week's Weekend Review. Join us again next week for a look back at the week that was, the same time, right here on CNC3 and the CIN network.